Hello, everyone. How are you today? Um, so today I have a couple things. Well, a few things that I want to talk about. I want to talk about publishing, self-publishing. For those of you who are interested in possibly writing and publishing something, it's really easy. I've said in other videos about I have 3 books. 2 of them I self-published, my last 2. So I'll talk about how I did that. I also want to talk about competing. So I see here on YouTube in the sectors that I'm in various ones, that there is a lot of talk right now about people competing against each other, which is healthy. I mean, competition is healthy, right? But what I also want to talk about is that I don't have to hate you just because I'm competing, against you. And there's another way to view competition. Okay, there's another way that we can look at that. So I want to talk about that today. And so let's start with the writing. I love writing. I absolutely love it. I love words. I actually wrote a blog post called I Love Words. Okay, because I do. I love looking at the etymology of words, where they came from, how they were used in the past. I have I have written sentences where I have looked up the etymology for every single word in the sentence to see what the origin of that word. I know it's crazy, but I love them. So, and I've always loved to write. And I'm looking down here because I have notes because I tend to go off on tangents and forget what I'm going to talk about. So I have notes. I've always loved to write. I remember when my first story was published, I was in elementary school and we had an assignment to write about our homes and where we grew up and, stuff, little elementary type things. So I wrote a story and they published it in the local newspaper. So I remember coming home from school one day and my aunt she'd read the article and she was so proud of me. And I just remember her commenting on it. I'm sure other people did, but I remember her commenting on it, saying that she loved the story and all that. So, I've always loved writing. In college, I wrote a story. It was like a mystery. It was a mystery about this girl she was in this small town. And anytime something happened, like she would go to try to figure out what it was and who did it and stuff like that. So that was really fun to write. I wish I still had it. I don't have it. I don't know where that thing is. But my teacher asked me if I read some author she was talking about who wrote mysteries. I'd never heard of her before, but she was like, Cheryl, you really need to write. Like, this is really good, right? You really need to do that. So I've always loved doing that and reading too. I love to read. I've said that in another video. So I want to show you some of the stuff that I write. Now, it's not just books, right? I write for all kinds of stuff. So first I'll show you. So this is training development. What is it called? Talent Development Magazine. I have just, and this just came out. This is the more recent one. I'm looking for the date here. This is the, here it is, August 2019. Okay. My article is here. It's called Unlearning Evaluation, because I do learning, development, and evaluation. Remember, that's what Ypifany is about. Very proud of this article. I really am, you guys. I've been working on this for so long, and I was so happy to finally see it published. And so that's one. This is also by ATD. Of course, I'm in, learning, development, and evaluation. This is their talent management handbook. So I didn't write this whole thing. However, I do have an article in here that I co-wrote with a colleague called, it's in chapter 4, it's called Preparing Talent Through Onboarding, because executive onboarding is something that I did in my last job. So I have an article here. I also have blogs. If you go to my website, CherylAbram.com, which I showed in another video, I have a blog with all kinds of stuff on there. If you go to various websites, I blog for other people and stuff. Okay, so what I want to show you, this is my book, Longing to Learn. One of the books that I talked about. It's very small. So let me tell you, okay, it's real tiny, but it's self-published. And so let me tell you what I did. Okay, so I was looking to I was very dissatisfied in my last job, but I'll tell you why, and it's not for the reason that you probably think. But what I want to do is I want to read the introduction to this. Okay, it's not long. It's like 2 pages, 2 little bitty pages. So I'm going to read that because this is really important for where I go from here. Okay. So the name of the book is Longing to Learn, Bringing a Sense of Delight and Freedom Back to Training and Development in the Workplace. Okay. I have a quote in each chapter or in each section before each section begins. This one is by John F. Kennedy. He says, conformity is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. Conforming is the jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. Okay. Many of us are familiar with the saying, water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. What you may not know is the saying comes from the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, a poem by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. The speaker in the poem is a sailor in the middle of the ocean surrounded by water that he cannot consume. It reminds us of situations where we are amid plenty yet cannot partake. If you've ever been in a situation that should be fulfilling but isn't, you know how the sailor felt in that moment. I've been experiencing this feeling of frustration, unfulfilled in a workplace, even though everything was awesome. My boss was awesome. My colleagues were awesome. My salary, work hours, job duties, and work outputs were awesome. I was promoted, given rewards, and consistently recognized for my performance. Amid this seemingly fulfilling situation, I felt trapped, stifled, restless, and less than useful. Is this all there is? Was a selfish question to ask, surrounded by such plenty. But having the courage to ask the question opened a Pandora's box of possibilities, ideas, and surprising discoveries. This question not only reignited my ability and desire to learn, but also reminded me how to learn. Job titles, money, standard operating procedures, mandated training, company policies, and other controls designed to impose conformity and obedience teach us how to fit into the system. We learn how to fall in line, ask for permission, and follow the leader so proficiently that our ability to question, explore, learn, evaluate, and decide for ourselves becomes atrophied, and if not resolved, dies altogether. Essentially, we forget how to learn. And when we forget how to learn, we stunt our personal growth as well as the growth of our connections and relationships. Learning involves so much more than sitting in a course, obtaining a certification, passing a test, or graduating from college. Learning is an inherent value that, along with work, produces instrumental value and sustained benefits. Everything in life learns, works, produces, and grows, and the field of biomimicry is where we ultimately go to solve human problems. Biomimicry, or biomimetics, is the imitation of natural systems, elements, and models for solving complex human problems. It's in remembering how to learn that we begin to exercise and build our mental and physical capacity to observe, wonder, question, test, and ultimately decide what is true for ourselves. Building this capacity will most likely be in contravention hierarchical systems, but it's wholly aligned with your work, growth, and purpose. Longing to learn and bringing a sense of delight and freedom back to training and development in the workplace is a quick, high-level view of the possibility of autonomous learning in the workplace. It's about teaching and learning with an open mind that is prepared for a challenge, excited to explore, grateful for change, and expecting maximum use of connection and creativity. So that's the introduction to the book. And it talks about how everything was awesome. Y'all know that song from the Lego movie, Everything is Awesome? Like that's what was going on. Everything was awesome. So why in the hell am I having all of this anxiety and feeling like I'm not fulfilled? You know, there was no reason for me to be unfulfilled, but I was. Okay. So what I decided to do was to leave that job. And, other things came about there. But so the way that I did this was, and I wrote this, and you see it's really small, but it's very heartfelt. Okay, if you didn't hear that in the beginning, it's really heartfelt. And I drew my own picture. Oh, can you see that? Like I'm not an I'm not an artist. Well, not in that way anyway. But I drew my own pictures to put in the book. And it's really heartfelt. So I said, okay, I'm going to write this and I'm going to publish it, so that other people can hear it, can see it, can read it, because I'm not the only one. Okay. I'm not the only one looking in. People looking in will say, you got it together. You got a great job. You got insurance. You got this, you got that. And you got, why would you do that? I'm not the only one who was feeling unfulfilled in a situation that seemed wonderful and awesome. Okay. I know this because I'm a human being. I know this. All right. There are other people out there who feel like that right now. So this is the book. And the way that I did it was I wrote it in a Word document, just a regular Word document. And the people that helped me, I need to get that other book. I went to, who are they called? Archangel Publishers, Archangel Publications, something like that. They helped me to create the cover. They helped me to write the back. They edited for me, and she did it really quickly because it's small. Okay. So they were able to do it really quickly, and it cost me a little bit. You can go to Fiverr at Fiverr.com. Okay. If you can do the same thing, have a cover and they'll edit and all that stuff, and you'll get it for a lot less. But I had already used Archangel for something else, and I love the work they did. So I paid, I don't know, like $1,000 or something for them to help me with that. Or it could have been less than that. I don't know. Yeah, but I like the work. Okay. And again, go to Fiverr and get it done for a lot less, $40, $50, $60, whatever. And they do good work on Fiverr too. Okay. So I had them do that. When they gave it back to me, because I wanted to publish it on Amazon, right? So because that's what I did with the book before this. They gave it back to me in the format that Amazon requires it in order for you to put the book and the covers on there, and they'll make it into a book for you and into Kindle and all that stuff, right? So they gave it to me. I had already had an account on Amazon Create Space. I don't know if they still call it Create Space. I think they call it something else now. Let me check real quick, because so I had an account there. They told me where to go and do it. Let me do it here. So it was only a matter of uploading. Yeah, createspace.com. You can still go there. You can now manage your Create Space content on Amazon, improve publishing services, Kindle Direct Publishing. I think that's what they're calling it now. But if you go to Create Space, it'll still take you there. All right. So I put it on Create Space. It took maybe a day, probably, for them to say, okay, your book is ready. You put how much you want it to cost. This one is $2.99, and I believe the Kindle version is like 99 cents or something. It's super, super cheap. You say how much you want it to cost, where you want to sell it, just in the US or around in the country or whatever, and they'll give you, when people buy it, you get so you choose how much money you want to get back, what percentage you want to get back. And it depends on, each of them comes with something different, right? So I don't remember what the percentage is for me on this one, because it's so low. So, and I just wanted to have it out there, but you can choose that too. Okay. It's very, very simple. The hardest part of this is just doing the writing. Just start writing, just do it. Okay. And I think it's important for us to really tell our stories. I love this thing right here, this whole platform, the YouTube stuff. Okay. Because if we use it in that way to tell our stories and to be honest and to have other people who may be experiencing the same thing, but are afraid to talk about it, but they want to see you talk about it, because it's safer than them coming out and doing stuff. That's good too. But you can also do the same thing by writing a book. And if you love writing, writing is something that you like to do, go ahead and do it. It's really, really easy now. You don't have to go to publisher. The publisher I have right now, I can't wait to get out of the contract because, I can't do nothing with my own stuff. Okay. So it was a terrible contract, but that's another video. Self-publishing, I feel, is really the way to go. All right. So there's that. Now, I looked at a video the other day from a lady who was talking about starting her YouTube channel. She was on YouTube. She's been on YouTube for 2 years. She has a business. I forget the name of her business, but she helps people like employ folks and stuff like that. Well, she for her is that what it's called? Yeah, her Chamber of Commerce. She did a presentation for some people about starting a YouTube channel. And in her presentation, it was very interesting because I had just been talking about the same thing a couple days before. She was talking about how individuals, when you get a channel, they just start hating. Like, seriously. And she said this, right? And when she said it, I laughed. I'm like, because it's true. And hating doesn't mean you're getting hate speech and they're saying terrible things to you and all that stuff. There's nothing, like you hear nothing at all, unless you're talking about something terrible that's happened to you. That's when they come out the woodwork, like, really? Really? That's what I'm gonna hear from you when I'm going through some trials and tribulations. Then you got something to say? But when I'm doing good, I'm posting stuff. You see all the things that I'm doing, crickets and ribbits. You don't hear nothing. And that's what she was talking about. She was like, be prepared. Like that Lion King song. Remember, what's his face was singing that Scar? Be prepared. Be prepared to get complete silence. Okay? When people see that you're attempting to be different, that you're that you are being different, that you are growing, that you are reaching in spaces that you've never reached in before, be prepared for that. Right. And I was just, and that's what I'm talking about. Right. Because I had been talking about that with someone like a day or two before. And then to hear her mention it in the training she was giving about people, who were possibly interested in starting a YouTube channel, that was just very interesting to me. And I was happy to hear her say it because I'm experiencing that. Okay, I really am. And, which is fine because that's feedback, right? It's feedback, and it really shows you who's on your side, like who's right there with you, who's rooting you on, who is interested in seeing you do something different, which leads me to this talk of competition. Okay. Now, there's been some talk in this sector about competing, how everybody's competing. And yes, everybody is competing. Okay. Whether you think you are or not, everybody is competing. However, I want to say that we can compete without comparing. Now, what does that even mean? That probably sounds like it don't even make no sense, right? But we can compete without comparing because it's really, so the way I look at it, I'm on here for my own reasons. Okay. I have a company. I have this YouTube channel to advertise my company. I also have this channel because I know I have ideas and I have things to say that are different from what other people are saying about the same thing. Okay. I want to share that. I want people to hear that. Okay. Because I feel like, first of all, it's useful, it's interesting, and it's different. Okay. And I don't hear the words that I'm saying coming out of anybody else's mouth. Okay. I don't. I have a lot of my own ideas, and some of them are crazy. I'll admit that. Okay. Some of them are crazy and weird because they're not mainstream. They're very different when it comes to learning, development, and evaluation. Okay. Got to redo my hair, y'all. So, yeah. So you can compete without comparing. Now, let me say this about it. Oh, here I wrote down a quote by Michelangelo. Every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it is the task of the sculptor to discover it. Okay? Every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it's the task of the sculptor to discover it. If I think of myself as that block of stone and the sculptor, okay, there's something inside of me, and it's up to me to discover it. Okay. Now, which means I'm not looking at you and your numbers and how many people come into your chat and how many things you've written and how many TV shows you've been on, you know, and I'm saying, okay, I haven't done that much. I ain't got those many people. I haven't written those many articles. I haven't published those many books. I haven't been to these materials. Okay, so now I'm competing against you, which means I got to do more than you, so that I'm up here and now you looking at me, comparing yourself to me and competing with me to try to pass me up. Like we run in a race, like I'm first, then you first, and I'm first. And first of all, I ain't got that much energy, okay, to be looking at you, trying to see what you have and how I can get more than what you have. Okay, it's not about having more. Okay, but I can look at what you have. I can see what you're doing, but not just you. I'm looking at the entire. So if you're in learning and development, okay, which is where I am, I can look at all of learning and development and say, this is what's going on in the world of L&D, which is what I've been doing. This is what's going on in the whole. Now, I'm not just looking at you. I'm looking at you and including the whole industry. Okay. And I'm looking to see, okay, what are people asking for? What are people missing? What are their pain? What do they keep, even though all this stuff going on, where are people still dissatisfied? How can I not compete with you and do more than you, more of the same, but more than what you're doing? How can I be different than you? I don't want to be like you, but better. I'm trying to be different. Okay. And there's no comparison. I listen, I tell people that all the time. I am not. So there's this one model of evaluation that a lot of people use. Okay. And my boyfriend would say things like, I got to be better than that person, or I gotta, when talking about it, I gotta say how I'm not like that, or I use better things than them or different things than them or whatever. And I'm like, I that don't even come in the conversation because we're not the same. I'm not competing against you because I'm not like you. That's like an apple competing with an orange. That don't even make no sense. You're in a different class, right? You're doing something totally different than I'm doing, right? So I'm about being different. Okay. So there is really no competition in that regard. I can't compare apples to oranges because apples are different than oranges. Okay. But what I can do is look at the entire industry. Look at all of YouTube. What are y'all doing on these channels? What's missing? What's missing? So when I come on YouTube, before I started this channel, there was nothing really to I would look for, if something was broken in the house or whatever, I'd look for a YouTube video for, that kind of stuff, right? But there was really nothing here to really where I can say, oh, that's different. I've never seen that before. Like when it comes to the stuff that I'm doing, the learning and development, that's what I'm talking about, learning and development stuff, right? Everything is the same. Everybody's talking about it the same way. So what I'm bringing is something different. Okay. Now, if you want the same, go get the same. There's plenty of the same. Plenty of people doing stuff the same way. Some of them doing it better. Some of them doing it with more people in their chat. Some of them doing it with less curse words. Some of them doing it with less makeup. Some of them, but it's all the same. Okay. This is different. This is different. For learning, development, and evaluation, nobody's doing this right now. Okay. And I'm confident in that because I've been looking. I've been looking and observing, and I've been seeing and asking questions. Okay. Yeah. So you don't, it's a lot of times it's not about being better. It's just about being different and being it where being better comes in. It's like, okay, what am I doing now that I wasn't able to do a year ago? Okay, now that's where I can see some growth. Where am I seeing growth? That's not me comparing myself to you and seeing what you were doing a year ago. And if I'm doing better than you were doing a year ago. No, no. What am I doing today that I was not able or didn't have the capacity or the desire or the motivation to do a year ago? That's where the improvement is. That's where the growth is. Okay. All these videos I'm making, I wasn't doing this a year ago. This is different. This is me growing in some way that now has me expressing by making these YouTube videos. Okay. Yeah. So you want to be different. Okay. More than anything else, you want to be different. And you also want to be able to compare what you're doing, compare what you're doing today, versus what you were doing this day, 1, 2, 3 years ago. Okay. And to see the ways that you've grown. What else did I have in that title? Is that it? Y'all, I'll be writing stuff in this title and I'll be forgetting what the hell I was talking about. So to end this video, I just want to say again, I love that quote by Michelangelo, right? We all have something inside of us and it's up to us to discover what that is. Up to us. Okay. It's not up to somebody else to discover what that is. It's up to you to discover what that is. And guess what that's called? Y'all know where I'm going with this. That's learning. Okay. It's learning. So just like this thing right here, you see this? I got this as a gift when I presented at the Training Officers Consortium. It's $1 billion diamond. Y'all know that ain't true. It's a piece of glass. But it's pretty though. I like it. Right? But this didn't start off like this. It wasn't in this shape. It didn't have all these, what the hell you call them things? That makes it shine like that. It didn't have all that. It was probably like a big old square piece of glass, but this was inside of it. This was inside of it. Okay. Now everything ain't gonna look the same. The sculpture inside of me isn't gonna look the same as yours. Okay. And you can even do more with this, right? Make it something else if you want to. But the point is, you got to do it. This ain't about competition. That's not about competition. This is about sculpting and discovering what's inside of you. Okay. And being that person. Whether it's on YouTube, outside of YouTube, it don't matter. Okay. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I do every day. That's what the business is. That's why it's called Epiphany, right? When you have an epiphany, you finally see something that you didn't see before. Okay? That's what that is. And that's the business that I'm in. All right. That's all I have today. Y'all, I need to do my hair. I need to go get some hair and I'm going to do it again probably this weekend. It's a long weekend. So I'm going to see what I'm going to do with all this time I have, all this free time. So I'll probably talk to you all later about some stuff. There's some other stuff I wanted to talk about, but I don't want to do it now. I'll do it later. So y'all have a good rest of the day and I will be back. Bye.